Ian Rapoport reveals why Shedeur Sanders won't back up Browns in Week 5. The Cleveland Browns are making headlines once again, this time not because of who will start at quarterback in Week 5, but rather because of who will not be moving up the depth chart. Rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders, son of Hall of Famer and current Colorado coach Deion Sanders, has been generating attention ever since entering the NFL. Many assumed he would naturally slide into the backup role behind newly named starter Dillon Gabriel. But according to NFL Network insider Ian Rapoport, the Browns have different plans, and their reasoning reflects a strategic, long-term view rather than a lack of confidence. Rapoport explained that Cleveland doesn't want to place Sanders in a position where he would be forced to operate under a game plan built for another quarterback. If he were to serve as the immediate backup and something happened to Gabriel mid-game, Sanders would have to execute a system not designed around his unique strengths. That, in the Browns' view, could hinder his growth and potentially set him up for failure. Instead, the team believes that when Sanders finally sees the field, he should do so under circumstances that allow him to thrive, with a full week of preparation and a tailored offensive strategy that maximizes his skills. This approach may frustrate some fans eager to see the young quarterback get live action, but the organization appears committed to managing his development with patience. Rapoport noted that Sanders is not ready yet, not in terms of talent, but in terms of fit. The Browns want to avoid the common NFL mistake of throwing a rookie into a role without adequate support. For Cleveland, Sanders is an investment, one that requires careful handling if he's going to fulfill his potential at the professional level. Veteran Joe Flacco remains ahead of Sanders in the depth chart, serving as the more logical choice for an in-game replacement. With nearly 2 decades of NFL experience, including a Super Bowl MVP to his name, Flacco offers stability in chaotic situations. If Gabriel were injured or struggled during Week 5, the Browns trust Flacco to manage the offense on short notice. He's familiar with NFL defenses, understands game flow management, and can quickly adapt to whatever plan the coaching staff has installed. From that standpoint, keeping Sanders in the third spot isn't about doubting him, it's about protecting him. The Browns' decision also reflects a growing recognition across the NFL that quarterback development isn't one-size-fits-all. In past decades, rookies were often forced into the spotlight too early, sometimes derailing careers before they truly started. Now, more organizations are leaning toward individualized growth plans. Sanders, drafted in the 5th round, represents a high-upside project rather than an instant starter. His college career at Colorado showcased his poise, accuracy, and leadership, but scouts also highlighted areas where he needed time to adjust, particularly processing speed against NFL-caliber defenses and the physical demands of the pro game. Rapoport's report emphasizes that Cleveland still believes in Sanders' long-term future. In fact, the team is encouraged by what it has seen from him in practices and meetings. Coaches reportedly admire his feel for the game, his calmness under pressure, and the competitive edge that mirrors his father's legendary intensity. However, translating those traits into consistent NFL performance takes time. For the Browns, that means ensuring that Sanders' first snaps come under favorable circumstances, not as an emergency stopgap in Week 5. The timing of all this adds another layer of intrigue. Cleveland's offense has been under scrutiny, with fans calling for stability after years of quarterback turnover. By elevating Gabriel as the starter and leaning on Flacco as the backup, the Browns are sending a clear message. They're prioritizing immediate reliability while simultaneously cultivating a quarterback for the future. Sanders is not being sidelined forever. He's being positioned for a more deliberate debut. From a broader perspective, the Browns' strategy could serve as a model for other franchises balancing short-term competitiveness with long-term quarterback grooming. Not every rookie needs to be on the field right away to validate a draft pick. In Sanders' case, waiting might actually increase the likelihood of success. The coaching staff can build an offense tailored to his dual-threat abilities when the time is right, instead of forcing him to adapt to a system designed for a different skill set. Of course, not everyone agrees with this conservative approach. Some analysts argue that the best way for rookies to learn is through live representatives, even if they make mistakes along the way. Critics worry that keeping Sanders on the sideline for too long could stunt his progress or frustrate him. But Rapoport's insight makes it clear that Cleveland is willing to weather those criticisms if it means avoiding a rushed or poorly planned debut. The Browns have seen too many cautionary tales across the league, young quarterbacks thrown into chaotic situations only to lose confidence or regress. They're determined not to repeat that mistake. Sanders himself hasn't publicly expressed frustration with the decision, and by all accounts, he remains focused on development. Coming from a football family, he understands the importance of patience and preparation. His father, Deion, has often spoken about the value of putting players in situations where they can succeed rather than simply survive. That same philosophy seems to be guiding Cleveland's handling of Shedeur. Looking ahead, Rapoport suggested that Sanders' opportunity will come later in the season. If circumstances align, whether through injury, schedule flexibility, or a deliberate coaching decision, the Browns could insert him into the lineup with a week's notice. That would give the offensive staff a chance to design a game plan that highlights his mobility, accuracy, and creativity. Until then, the plan is clear. Let Gabriel and Flacco carry the immediate workload, while Sanders continues to develop behind the scenes. For Browns fans eager to see the rookie in action, this may not be the news they wanted to hear, but it may be the news Sanders needs. Quarterbacks are the most scrutinized players in the league, and early struggles can linger in perception far longer than they should. By shielding Sanders from premature exposure, Cleveland is protecting its investment and potentially setting him up for a smoother transition when the time finally arrives. In the end, Ian Rapoport's revelation underscores the careful balancing act every NFL franchise faces with young quarterbacks. The Browns are betting that patience will pay off, that Sanders' first moments on the field will be memorable for the right reasons rather than rushed out of necessity. Whether that gamble works remains to be seen, but for now, the Browns are content to wait, and so must the fans.